Hi there, welcome to our second part of our tutorial for our preference panel for our course on Learn to Use TVPaint for Animation. Last time we were in our preference panel, we are learning about the 6 tabs that are available to us. The first one is General, second one is Display, and the third one we reviewed last time was Interface. So this time we're going to go over memory and cache, sound, and startup. So we're going to go ahead and select the memory and cache. And in our first field here, we have physical memory. And the physical memory is the size of memory that is allocated or allowed for the program to store information and files on our computer, such as undos, which is our next field. And our undo size here is regulated by the amount of information that we can store on our computer that will undo actions. If you're any familiar with tools such as Adobe Photoshop or any other drawing tools, they allow us to undo the history or the strokes or even the objects we make upon the stage. And the undo size regulates about how many times or how many actions that have taken place on your stage can be undone. So mine is set to 32 megabytes, which is pretty standard. If you want more undos and you're not as confident drawing or creating objects upon your stage and you need a little more leeway, you may increase this number. Only recommended if you have a bigger, more robust computer that can handle this information. And then our second one, we have a cache usage, and this is set to automatic, and this will automatically store the information on your computer regarding the undos. You can set this to manual and set of how much cache size that you use for this option. In our next tab, we have sound. And under our sound, we have scrub duration. Now, you can't see it, but in our later lesson, we will cover down here in our timeline, there is actually a scrub line for our audio. And mine is set to 0.10 seconds. And this is the scrub duration. You can change this as well. And then we have a scrub mode option, which there's 3 different types of scrub modes. There's never, scrub, and always. Never doesn't allow scrubbing. It just, when you put your clip and you don't want it changed or messed with, you can set it to never. Scrub is the default regular, where you can scrub back and forth to see where certain inflections or tones are different in either your music or audio. And then we have always, which just allows you to scrub no matter what or where you are in your clip. And then we have what they call sampling rate, and this is set to 44,100 hertz. Hertz is the frequency of the sound that you have loaded into your timeline, and you can change this as well. They have different options here. Mine's set to 44,100. The studio quality is 44,100 or 4,800, and I believe those are 2-channel stereo. You may set it to something lower if your computer or your project doesn't require a lot of intricate or complex sounds or dialogue. Excuse me. And so I set mine to 44,100 so as a default. And then we have our next selection, play project sound and clip. And this just basically goes ahead and adds a link to your sound to your project clipped. So that way they're not separated. In our next tab, we have startup. Now under startup, we have different options. This is when we start our project settings. We have last project settings, we have startup panel, we have template, we have load last open project, and then we have a last use configuration. The first one, last project setting, is of course self-explanatory. When you're working on a certain project and you just want to open it up and dive right in, it will open up your last project that you're working on when you open up TVPaint. You have also the option of a startup panel. This is just the default template where when you open up TVPaint, it just opens up and loads the standard layout and interface. And then we have template. And this is usually for people who are working in collaboration with other people on a project. They can share a template and you can have the exact same workflow throughout the whole project. And then we have also load last open project. And this is a pretty cool feature because this way your whole layout, your tools, your bins, and your window and your timeline and everything that you were working on in your previous clip can be transferred and the workflow can continue into your next clip. And then we have last use configuration. And this is basically the same as the load last open project, except for the last use configuration will not load whatever you're working upon on your stage. So you'll have a new blank stage, but you will have the same options that you will in each of these bins from your last project. So now that we have reviewed the 6 preference tabs, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next exciting tutorial on learning some of the tools. And to do this, we're going to be starting on our project.